Hi, my name is Joe Fox and I'm from the team at eYachts. Today we're on board the Axopar 37 Suntop. This is one of 3 models available in the 37-foot range from Axopar. We're going to take the boat out and go and anchor up in a small bay. Come with me, let's go. This new model from Axopar was launched in early 2020, featuring a myriad, close to 380 changes from the first generation Axopar, which already saw very large success. We're lucky enough to have this model, quite a high spec, here today with us. I'm going to show you over the boat, show you some of the options, features and configurations that can be done on this model here. So we'll get started at the very front. A couple of options here. The configuration that we have here is the standard bench seat. Very comfortable seating for 2. In addition to that, we have a storage compartment under here with an extended sun lounge. So this makes for quite a comfortable place to sit when the boat is stationary, and also because of the design of the Axopar hull, it is quite a smooth ride when you're up here. If you are traveling at speed, we've got the anchor hatch cushion there as well, so really you could have 4 people up here lounging, eating lunch quite comfortably. We also have a sun awning which stretches off the front of the Suntop here to completely shade this area if you wish. Other options available here are a table, so we can do a single leg table. You'd remove this cushion and the storage hatch, but what that gives you is an alternative dining option. In the anchor hatch we have fenders and lines. Anchor operation can be done from here. We have a hardwired remote with the anchor trip switch, very easy to access. As well as that, we have a remote control. This also has a feature to control the bow thruster. Say if you're raising or dropping the anchor, you have got control over the swing of the boat, which is very important, especially when you're raising the anchor, to reduce stress on the electric windlass. We've got 30 meters of chain on board, as well as a very nice shiny ultra stainless steel anchor, so it really looks the part. Moving a little bit further aft, we have a feature that this Axopar Revolution model has become famous for. Now this is the Gullwing doors. These provide ample and clean access into the forward cabin, very nicely molded on a good powerful gas strut. Moving down each side of the boat, we have a safe walkway. It's halfway up my thigh here. In addition to that, we have the stainless steel rail. These are a standard feature in Australia. You'll also see that I can hold onto the top of the Suntop in a very secure way. So as I'm heading down the side of the boat, I've got a handhold here and I've got a handhold here. And this has provided a gutter. So when you step onto the boat, if you step on here, any water, dew or rain from overnight, if it is on the roof, it gets collected in the gutter and drains to the dedicated draining point, so you're not getting wet. So on top of the Suntop here, we have a roof rack option. Now this is great for any adventure on this model. You can put paddleboards, sea kayaks, water skis, wakeboards up here as well. Further forward, we have an option of a solar panel, so a trickle charger for the batteries if you are planning on leaving the boat on a mooring and you want the batteries just to maintain health. Further aft, we obviously have the tower, the light tower. So we have provision for a radar on here, a searchlight if you want, as well as all your aerials. So your FM radio, your VHF aerial, and your sound signaling horn at the back. As we come to the central section of the boat, the main dining and social area. Now this is rather large, and in this configuration that we have it at the moment, I call this kind of passage making mode, if you like. So we have 3 seats across the helm station. The helm is obviously to starboard with, say, a co-pilot seat and a passenger seat. Behind that we have the table, and then behind that 4 seats. All the seats are identical. They're all incredibly nicely molded. There's fiberglass molding with incredible quality stitching. The material is Silvertex, so it is waterproof. Doesn't matter if it gets salty, doesn't matter if you hose it with a hose or it gets wet. It is waterproof, it does dry. The table doubles in size for entertaining purposes. We have these 3 seats further forward, which can all spin round. So with the seats set up like this, you have a very comfortable dining area. Another standard option for our 37 Suntops in Australia is the fridge here. Now we have one of these on either side, so you can reach into the fridge and grab a drink without even having to leave your seat. So while you've got 7 people seated here comfortably for lunch, you know, if you have 10, 11 people on board, the boat is more than capable of that capacity. There is kind of comfortable perching around this main focal area. Alternatively, you can seat people on the aft section of the boat. So a few more things to point out while I'm here. Just under my feet, you will see a convenient locker. Now this is Axopar making use of every single space on the boat. And instead of having an empty void under the deck, there is storage space. So we have a few covers in there. We have that on the other side in an identical position as well. Just under and behind my right foot here, you'll see the subwoofer. Now this, along with many of the other models in the Axopar range, is in a great spot. Now if you imagine you're cruising along quite fast, you want that subwoofer to be in the most central position so that everyone across the back here and everyone through these front seats can hear the music that's playing, as well as the tweeters around the boat. So as we move forward into the helm station, we step down maybe 200 millimeters into the driving position. Now what this does, it lowers the driver and these 3 people at the bow to drop them below the level of the windscreen. The driving position here is set all the way over to the starboard side. On the first generation Axopar 37, the driving position was in the middle. General feedback and what we found is that it's more useful to have very, very easy access to the gunnel, the side rail. So if you imagine you're parking this Axopar 37 on your own, you don't have a crew member, you don't have someone on the dock to help you, the wind's blowing you off the dock maybe. You have a cleat right here, so you can get a breast line on as soon as you come in. You're not running up and down the boat trying to get lines on, or better still, having to go out the back of the boat because you're enclosed or in the middle. This driving position, much like all the Axopars, is very comfortable. So my favorite position, I've said it before and I'll say it again, is to kind of perch myself here with a leg bent and then with one foot on here. Alternatively, and for passage making mode again, I can slide the seat forward and I can sit down completely. Now depending on how tall I am, you can adjust the wheel as per all the Axopars. Moving on to the dash itself, at the top we have the Simrad information display. This is 2 12-inch plotters inset behind a glass panel. Now this is fully touch sensitive. You have all your integration in here, so if you have radar, AIS fitted, maybe a fish finder, you can access all those features through the home screen here. The Axopar 37 with the Simrad information display also comes installed with an Axopar dedicated info display. This is quite a nice little feature. It's obviously an Axopar only product, but we have a driving mode, so we have economic mode or we have sport mode, and that just relays different information depending on the mode you're in. We also have the social feature, so you can control your music, your zones, your volumes, your equalizers through the information display. On the left we have the operational side. A lot of lighting features. On the right hand side here we've got wipers, horn, bilge pumps and a couple of spare buttons as well if you do put extra equipment on board. On the dash here we have the bow thruster. Now this is a really nice option for manoeuvring. We do have twin engines on this model, so manoeuvring is fairly straightforward, but this is nice security as the boat is 37 feet long, so if the wind is blowing you off the dock you can very easily move the boat sideways. Another standard feature on the Axopar 37 in Australia are the trim tabs. Now the boat is incredibly well balanced. The hull is very good at going through the water under normal circumstances, and on my way out here today I wasn't really playing with the trim tabs at all. I was just using the trim on the outboards to optimize that angle between the props and the hull. Where these trim tabs come into play are when the boat is unevenly loaded, or when you're going into a bit of a surface chop or wanting to cut through some waves. You can just give the bow a bit more drive by dropping the tabs on the transom, and that drives the boat a bit lower through the water. If you are unevenly loaded, you can roll the boat sideways, so to balance out if you've got 5 or 6 people on one side at speed. Just over this side of the wheel we have the standard Mercury throttle controls. This is a fly-by-wire system, fully electric. We've got all the standard features on the twin Mercury controls, so we can sync the engines digitally. We also have the one lever option here as well, so you can, if you're going offshore, you can use just one lever and that controls both engines. A little bit easier than, you know, moving both engines with your hands, especially if it's a bit of work driving through a bit of a sea. Just under here, hiding away under the wheel, we have the control for the sun awning. E-Yachts is also offering the upgraded electric version of this as standard on all 37 Suntops in Australia. Standard on all the boats is this booster ledge. So if you are a little bit short, stand on this when you're maneuvering. Most of the time you probably won't use this, but it just does help to lift you up if you are struggling to see when you're maneuvering. And under the center seat, we have the battery isolators. Now this again is a change from the older version of the Axopar 37. These are very easy to locate. So you come onto the boat in the morning, you take the covers off, your batteries are on, and you're away. Also a very important feature, we have direct access from the helm station right onto the top of the fuel tank. In here we've got a couple of fuel filters, one for each engine obviously, as well as an emergency fuel shut-off. The aft section is really the entertaining hub. Now you've got your dining area, you've got a bit of seating out here as well. So on this 37 Suntop we have the wet bar option. This is a very nicely finished unit with a cover that drops down over it, so it looks very smart. Inside the wet bar we have a number of features. A sink, now this is connected to the fresh water tank, just over 100 litres. In the centre of the wet bar, and possibly the most important thing on board, is the large fridge. Now, in addition to the 2 standard drawer fridges which we noticed earlier, this is probably 50 litres chest freezer, so it's very efficient. Doesn't take a lot to cool it down. Once it's cool, it doesn't use much power at all. There is a drain in the bottom as well, so if you do spill beer, champagne, sticky liquids, messy stuff, you can, at the end of the day, put a hose in there and wash it all out. On the starboard side of the wet bar, we have a blank food prep area. This can be optioned with a number of local features. We can do a gas hob for barbecuing. You might use a griddle on there, as well as a large bin. So making use of the cupboard space below, we can cut out and inset a really large bin. The wet bar itself has a very convenient grab rail on the aft edge. You have got something to support yourself if the boat does move a little bit. Underneath, we have storage. So there is a provision already for a gas bottle in there, so makes fitting a gas hob in here very, very simple. But aside from that, just dry goods storage. Now this is one of 4 options on the aft deck of the 37. Other options include an aft cabin, so that would feature a sun lounger on top, but inside the aft cabin we get accommodation. So a double bed, even a little bit bigger than the bow cabin at the front. So you might have mum and dad in here for the weekend and the kids up the front. Access to the aft cabin is either through the top hatch, 2 top hatches in the aft cabin under the sun lounger pads, or through the seats here. With the cabin option, you'll lift from the bottom and it'll hinge up here. On this model with the wet bar, we obviously do not have the aft cabin. So instead of an access into a cabin under these seats, we have some fantastic storage. You can see plenty of room in here. The other option, and one which I think will be very popular, is a multi-storage compartment. Imagine a large sun lounging pad with a opening hatch, and that allows storage of whatever you want. So sea biscuits, water skis, wakeboards. Another option is absolutely nothing on the aft deck. We have done one of these Suntops within the last year. You remove the wet bar, but what that does give you is an extra 2 feet of deck space here, and you get a bolster along the back edge. So it's another social area. You don't have that food prep and fridge. You might do that if you're setting the boat up for fishing and you want, a perch across the back to sit, but you want this to be a working deck where you can move around with a bit more space. Speaking of fishing, there is an option to put a rocket launcher style rod holder system across the back of the T-top here. Now this gives provision for up to 6 rod holders for trawling or rod storage. We have had people mount rod holders on the ski pole as well as on the aft rails. Now, in addition to the fishing setup that you can do, we can turn this locker at the aft here into a live bait tank. Now, what this does, you get a clear perspex glass front, you get a light in there, an underwater light, electric pump, so you can pump salt water into this locker. It's got a drain as well, and this is, you know, a great setup if you do want to store live bait or your catch of the day. So with this setup here, the aft lockers are set up as fender and line storage. In the other locker, we have the stern shower. Now, this is quite nicely hidden away. You wouldn't know it was there. It's not cluttering up the deck space. It's hidden inside the locker, but this has a nice long shower hose on it so that you can shower off when you come out the water. Now, the ladder is on this side. It's tucked away under the aft platform. It is completely out of the water, so you're not going to get growth and algae on it, but it is quite easy to deploy from both in the water or from the boat itself. In this locker, we also have a manual bilge pump. So the boat has 2 bilge pumps operated from the dash. They're both electric, they're both automatic, and they can both be operated manually from a switch. If those bilge pumps are not working, there is a manual bladder pump. Now, you'll also see here the ski pole. Now, this is a fantastic option, especially on the sun top. It does allow for towing. It is also a great security feature. You know, if I was an elderly person or a young child stepping on board, it is a very solid handhold. Just in front of the ski pole, we have the 3 aft seats. Now, these are a great option if you're looking to expand your seating capacity. You can sit here at speed if you need to get, you know, more than the 7 people that we've got under the sun top. We are now offering, and it's a new change for the 2022 boats, a cushion pad, so cut and molded to the size of this hatch. These seats fold up quite neatly, just like so, and then you turn them round to trim the engines up at the end of the day. I'll just lift all of these seats up now and show you the storage that we have underneath the aft section of this boat. You have to bear in mind that if you have the aft cabin or the multi-storage, the lockers here are different because obviously underneath the deck you're making use for accommodation or even bigger storage. So if I open up this, in here it's probably 200 millimeters deep, 250 millimeters. It does go quite far forward. So if you've got long fishing rods or water skis, wakeboards, you can slide them up underneath. As we move now to the transom of the boat, we have really the most important thing on any powerboat, and that is the outboard motors. Now, rigged on this model, we have the twin 350 horsepower Mercury engines. These are an inline 6 engine. They are the biggest engines you can put on the Axopar 37. Other options include the twin 300 V8s for Mercury, as well as the twin 250s. With these engines, we'll get about 52 knots today. Axopar have worked alongside Mercury to make the engine and boat combination as efficient as possible. The 250, the 300 and the 350 horsepower also feature the advanced midsection. Now, this is advanced engine mountings that work to reduce vibration throughout the boat when the engines are in low revs, as well as working on the trim and the tilt of the engine to reduce cavitation when the boat is at speed going through corners. So it is quite an advanced system that we have on the Mercuries. It does work very well with the hull shape and the hull design that we have. The final place on board that we haven't explored is the bow cabin. I'll make my way down there now, but on my way I'm just going to point out a few things. So on either side at the aft section we have a fire extinguisher in these lockers here. There's another one on the other side. We also have a fire extinguisher further forwards. Just next to the helm station and next to the side cleat here, we also have the easy access step. Now, this is inset into the gunnel. Doesn't really take up any of the walkway, but does make getting on and off, if you are next to a quay, maybe another boat that's a little bit higher up, very easy. I'll head downstairs now into the cabins. So this is a clever access point because this door forms part of the dash. During the day or when you're not using it, it's closed and you wouldn't know it was there. Pushing the button, opening up reveals a easy access point. The first section we come to down here on this model is the enclosed toilet option. Now, this was quite a revolutionary design on the newer 37s. The standard feature here is more of an open plan cabin down here. The toilet is hidden very nicely underneath all the upholstery, but it is there and you can enclose the cabin completely for privacy. This partition here, along with this slightly different toilet design, does give you a fully enclosed head. Now when you're not using this, you can close it off. If you are using this toilet and you do want the privacy, you can completely close the dash hatch, which I entered through. It's an electric flush toilet, does go to a holding tank, as well as having a little wash basin here. Also, and just over my left shoulder here, are the fuse boards and fuse switches. Now these are under a waterproof cover. Behind me as well, we have storage. There is a mirror behind me as well. This area can be a completely wet compartment. Now there is an option for a shower just on the wall in front of me. Obviously the carpets wouldn't be in here. There'd be a drain, a sump drain, just under my feet. And this option for the shower includes a seat. So you can sit on a seat here and with a shower head here. So it is a bit of a sit down internal shower. Generally, I think when people are swimming on and off the boat, you'll be using the stern shower. But if you are spending the week away on board, up the Hawkesbury, up to Port Stephens, Moreton Island, you name it, it's a nice internal shower. Let's move further forward now into the accommodation part of the front cabin. As I head in, it is comfortable. We have a lot of natural light, 2 large skylights, 1 in each of the Gullwing doors, as well as a tinted skylight just after that. We've also got a forward-facing window as well. So this is your ventilation if you haven't got the Gullwing doors fitted on your boat, or if you don't want to open the Gullwing doors all the way. We're on an anchorage now and I can feel a nice little draft coming through there. So this would be quite a comfortable place to sit or sleep. On either side we have a seated area, so you can sit down here, read a book on a hot day, get the kids out of the sun. And then the bed itself. The bed is quite comfortable. Plenty long enough for me. I'm about 6 foot. I'd say you could have a 6'4" person stretched out on here. There is lighting in here, quite atmospheric lighting. So we have hidden strip lighting around the ceiling panel, a strip light here, as well as, you know, floor lights around the bottom. So even at night it would be quite a vibing place to hang out. The sound system, as well as being on the outside of the boat, is also zoned for internal as well. So there are 2 speakers here with a Fusion radio remote. Now these can be playing at the same volume as all the outside speakers, or if you're on a quiet anchorage, you don't want to disturb other people, you can turn off the outside speakers and just play music in here internally. The most impressive feature of this part of the boat, and something we touched on earlier, is the 2 Gullwing doors. The standard boat, and we have reviewed an Axopar 37 cross cabin without the Gullwing setup, does not feature these doors. You still get all the light, but you don't have the access. Now what the Gullwing doors do is it allows clean and simple access in through either side. Now instantly that's opened a nice through flow there. It is quite warm today. You know, I'm completely in the shade, nice and cool out of the sun. I can open it on this side as well. As you can see, this Axopar 37 Suntop really is an impressive boat. Axopar have fitted a lot into 37 feet, and what we see is a range of really impressive and clever design features. As well as being a great day boat and entertainer, this model is also a performer. We've had these boats offshore. We have clients that do trips up and down to Port Stephens. 2 hours to Port Stephens is quicker than driving in your car. So what we see, as well as a very functional and usable boat, an incredible performer with a great hull design and a complementary engine package. If you did enjoy this, do give us a like, hit the subscribe button to be alerted when we put out more content just like this. My name is Joe Fox from the team at eYachts. If you would like more information on the Axopar 37 Suntop or any of our models, do get in touch. It'd be great to have a chat and find out about your interest in this impressive brand.